Welcome back to Bearing the Name, where what is given must be guarded. I'm Elijah Johnson,
And I'm Donatella Johnson.
and it looks like we have a little guest on the show today,
We brought Jaira with us today.
about a
Hey,
month
boy.
old, on his first production. This is Real Parenthood. Backstory, he wouldn't stop crying, so we gotta hold him. Gotta do the little pinky method.
He will
But
be with us on today's episode,
yeah, I
which is
mean,
quite fitting, actually.
marriage,
Yeah.
relationships, like perfect.
The perfect special guest.
Yeah, so the verse that stood out to me today was Genesis 2:24. I think this really just encompasses marriage, relationships. I mean, marriage for one, for sure. It says, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." I think
Hits every time.
every single time. I mean, it doesn't like that is what marriage is all about. So I'm excited to talk about our relationship before we met, how that what that looked like for you, what that looked like for me.
Oh, yeah.
Excited to talk about how we met, the process of our relationship and how we got married, and then once we got married, what that actually looked like.
Yeah, let's
Um,
dive right in. Why don't you tell them how I came into your life?
yeah, I mean, first I'll give them the backstory of my my lifestyle when it came to relationships, on how I viewed it before I met you.
Yeah, that's very
Um,
important,
Very
actually.
important, because a good woman will change you guys. Believe that. So before I met Donatella, I was a full-on degenerate. Just yeah, I know, right? Like it's painful to talk about, but just multiple women, like no respect for others or myself, out running the streets, and not looking for a relationship at all. Yeah, I mean, ladies, shake your head. This was not the guy you wanted to be with.
I had to take one for the team.
Took me off the streets. So this was who I was, and I mean, at a very young age, actually, I put it in my mind that I was gonna be a bachelor for my whole life. I think I was like 11 years old when I that came to this conclusion. I'm looking at all these football players, basketball players, whatever, and they're like living this bachelor lifestyle, and I was like, this is what I want. Little did I know, Donatella, the quote unquote Instagram girl, she held a position at the University of San Diego as social media strategist. So she was over all the content for Instagram, for the university, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it may be. So she kept showing up on my feed, and I'm seeing her, and I was like, wow, like she's beautiful. And my roommate, shout out Vasco, he was also an international student, where my wife is from a country called Swaziland, on the border of South Africa.
You tell him.
Yeah, on the border of South Africa. Now it's known as Eswatini, correct?
Formally changed its name about 7-ish years ago.
Yeah, it's been on Jeopardy a couple times. So
Yeah.
if you guys want to know, landlocked starts with an E. It's Eswatini. Um, but anyways, so he tells me about her, and he was like, hey, like there's this girl, like I think that you would like her. Like me just being that degenerate, I was like, yeah, she's fine, like I'm gonna slide into her DMs, right? So I hit her with you're so fine, um, a little game. I thought that, I mean, it's kind of a universal thing, that it's like it's not about like what you're saying, it's about who's saying it.
Yeah.
So men, if you're looking for your wife, like build yourself up, build your foundation, and your wife is just gonna come, right? So I texted her, you're so fine, and that's kind of how we started talking. And our relationship, not rooted in Christ, she would come over and we would smoke, and yeah, just smoke, vibe, talk talk all night, like just like
Yeah, like the first day, let's actually talk about how we got to that point.
yeah.
Because what ended up happening is I actually knew who he was before he DM'd me. I saw him on campus. Well, I didn't know his name, knew nothing about him, but I saw him on campus sitting in front of the bookstore, and he definitely caught my eye. I will admit I was physically attracted to him from the very beginning. And when he DM'd me about a week later, I remember being like, oh my gosh, this is the guy that I saw. So it goes back to kind of what he's saying. It's not about what you say, it's who says it. I mean,
Yeah.
I was just kind of excited about the fact that he had reached out to me, not really caring about what he said. I was just kind of like, oh, hi. And he actually invited me to a party that weekend. Your team was throwing a
Yeah.
party. And we met briefly. We didn't really hang out. We just kind of stayed texting. We met at the party. I would see him on campus, but nothing really sparked for the first couple of weeks, I would say, until this one night I was feeling really, really bold, and I just FaceTimed him out of nowhere, and I was just like, what are you doing tonight? I'm coming over and we're gonna smoke. At the time we were both
In the
we both
world.
smoked in the world. That's kind of what we did. So I was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I went over, and at the time I didn't have a car and neither did he. So he like Ubered me to his house.
Yeah.
And we get there and, went straight to business, and we ended up talking for the whole night. I think I left his house at like 5 a.m., but we
Yeah.
just like spoke and got to know each other. And I think from then we just hung out almost every single
Just
day.
hang out every single day. And it's funny that we had no idea that we would end up this far. And it reminds me of that verse where Jesus is talking and he's like, right now you don't know what I'm doing, but soon you will.
Yeah.
And so when
Oh,
Donatella
yeah.
came over, like I immediately knew that she was a different kind of girl. Just that attraction that I had for her was just, it was different. It was like, she's not like these other girls who've like I've encountered. It was more so like a friendship. Like I was like, this is my friend. I enjoy talking to her. I enjoy her presence. And that was our foundation.
Yeah.
And so like just seeing like where we are at now, like she's still my friend. She's still like my best friend, someone who I can confide in, someone who I can sit down with and like talk out, someone I can laugh with.
So important. to
So
have
important.
that.
It's
And as I think the difference between the two of us is like, naturally, I've always been like the kind of girl that wants to be in a relationship. I've always been like a lover girl, maybe tried the streets, but just wasn't for me. So meeting him and us clicking instantly, I was just kind of like, okay, this is the man I'm going to be with. And I knew it from the very beginning. I remember texting, hi. I remember texting my godmother at the time, like, yep, I have found the love of my life. Mind you, we had probably hung out for like a week, and I was like, this is it. But to go back on what you were saying, it's so important to have that friendship in your relationship as well. And
Definitely.
we just got on as like best friends from the very beginning. We were goofy together. We were, there was no like pressure on having this perfect relationship. We just genuinely enjoyed being in each other's presence.
Yeah.
Even if it was like at school, I remember sometimes he would just want to see me for like the 10 minutes break that I had in between classes and walk me to class. But that's just because we really just enjoyed each other. And any moment we could get to spend with each other, we would.
Yeah. And I mean, just us being together, I feel we've grown. Like,
Oh my gosh.
just solely based off of us being in each other's presence. One of the questions that I have is, how have I shaped you to the woman that you are today?
Well, off the bat, you led me to the cross. So my faith journey started. I mean, I started taking it seriously when I met you, and the woman I am today has a lot to do with the label that I wear, which is child of God, and that, stemmed from our relationship. And granted, as we said, when we first met, we were in the world. I didn't really grow up in the church. I'd been to Sunday school a few times when I was younger. When my mom was in the picture, we would do what we could, but I never really had a relationship with Jesus. So meeting you at the time that I did, you were going through some personal challenges in your life.
Yeah.
And I think, within a couple months of us being together, just seeing how you had no choice but to surrender, and you would be so upset, but sometimes you would just call your parents and they would minister to you, and all of a sudden you were full of life again. And I remember just watching all of this and being like, there is something so special about the relationship you have with Jesus. And I firsthand saw him pull you out of a very dark place you were in with football and school and just trials at that moment in your life. You were going through a lot.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I remember being like, I want that. I don't know what he has. I don't know what it is, but I want that. And I started being more open to my faith. And, you started planting seeds in me, and you started reading the word to me. You started encouraging me to have more spiritual conversations with your parents. And it was nothing forced. It was more so I feel like I pushed it more than you did.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think meeting you, we just started our walk together, and in you planting the seeds in me, I started taking it seriously, and then that helped you take your faith more seriously. It was almost like we bounced energy off each other, and before we know it, we decided, this is what we're going to do. We're going to center our relationship around Christ. We're going to get baptized. This is what we do. And, our old lifestyle of us hanging out and smoking and going to parties together and, being in the world turned into like Bible studies together, or just staying home on a Friday night, even if it was just watching a movie or doing something wholesome. So that switch was a 180, but I definitely think that's how meeting you just shaped who I am today, because that process of sanctification that we went through together.
Yeah. And I think to touch on the point of just like that 180 of like where, for me, I'll dive into my story a little bit, but like for me, just going from like partying to like immediately like being inside, it was just like that sense of fulfillment. Like you were all the company that I needed.
Aww.
No, for real. Like I felt like everything that I was chasing out there was right at home.
And I can agree. And granted, when we went out, like when we were in the world, we were at different levels. I wasn't going as hard as you were. But I started realizing that the more time I would spend at home or just doing things with you, I had so much more fun and felt so much more relaxed and fulfilled than I did like when we were going out or whatever. Like granted, we would still have a good time when we would go out, but once we stopped and we just started prioritizing our relationship, that was all the company I needed too. Like there is something to say about that. And I remember my friends at the time being like, what, you just turned 21, like you're not coming out with us anymore, you've changed, you're always with your boyfriend, like what's going on? And I just remember like trying to be like, you just don't get it. Like I would pick doing that and spending time with him over that any day, just because the fulfillment I got from a night out did not measure to how I felt, spending time with you.
Yeah, no, I want to backtrack a little bit and kind of talk about how I introduced you to Christ, but at the same time, you built me up to be the man of God I am today. Like,
oh, that's
huge. So I'll start off by just giving a little backstory on my faith background. I grew up in the church, literally born on the pew. My grandparents, as we talked in the last episode, that those are my parents. They're pastors. So I grew up in the church, right? Like church on Wednesday, church on Saturday, Sunday. Church was every day. You know what I'm saying? So that was my background. And but it was more so like I was kind of forced to go. Like I didn't have my own
Yeah.
relationship with Christ
It's
until
just by
like yeah,
circumstance. That
exactly. It was
was,
by circumstance. So that's like my background. And you know like the stereotype like pastors' kids are always the worst. Like yeah, that was me. So like once I got
yeah,
that taste of the world, I went full-fledged and off the deep end. And this is my testimony. You know what
of
I'm saying?
course.
Like
That's a huge
you
part of who
can't
you
have a
were.
testimony without going through the test. And you can't have a message without going through the mess. So I went through both of them. So doing all that, I knew the word. I knew what sin was, but I was actively running away from God, which is like the worst kind of sin. Um, but that being said, I was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So by the time I met Donatella, I was still same thing, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But I was able to plant those seeds in her heart that were foreign to her.
Hmm.
And Donatella, being the good steward as she is, she took those seeds and watered it and then challenged me to become the man I am today.
Yeah, and I think um, what was so crazy for me was how it was like night and day. The minute I got a taste of the gospel, I just changed my whole life instantly.
Yeah.
Quit everything, stopped hanging out with certain friends, stopped going out, didn't do anything, like stopped drinking, smoking, anything. I just became pure, like instantly.
Yeah.
And I think that was a difference between us is, for you, the change was gradual. You needed time and processing. And I mean, we're still experiencing some of that. But for me, it was kind of like, okay, I'm a Christian now and this is what I do. And I think in me taking it so seriously, just kind of also planted seeds in you because it was like you led me to the cross, but I'm kind of like, okay, this is what we do now. And
Yeah.
there was something beautiful about that as well.
Definitely. And I think a good woman will challenge you to be a great man. I'm going to say that again. A good
Write that
woman
down.
a good woman will challenge you to be a great man. So,
So good.
when even before we were married, I thought that me who I was at that time wasn't worthy of Donatella. I knew the kind of dirt and mess that I was in, and I was like, I can't just put all this stuff upon her. So started weaning from these friends, started weaning from like certain activities that I was partaking in. And then once I like fully submitted to God, and like Donatello was talking about like how I had a gradual process, God was like, I'm going to strip everything from you. Everything's gonna go not your way, so
Mm.
that you can call on Yahweh.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and that moment, I was like, okay, I'm full in. I knew that God gave me Donatella as a disciple, and more than that, a wife that I had to work to be worthy for. Um, so God just started pruning me through my relationship with her. And it was like, okay, like you want to be a husband worth submitting for, these are the things you have to do.
Yeah. And I mean, I firsthand just experienced that process of sanctification. I mean, I know that so much of that was very difficult for you, cutting off certain friends or just that lifestyle that you had was much more of a challenge for you than it was for me. But it's
Yeah.
like you had your eye on the prize, and it was, I'm going to make my relationship work. I'm going to let God use her, use me. I like you just fully surrendered. And at that time as well, there was so much going on in your personal life. You went through a very rough patch, spiritual warfare. And I think witnessing that firsthand also shaped me to kind of be that granted, at first we weren't married, but just be that partner that you needed that could offer support, and kind of letting God use me to encourage you and support you and motivate you however I could. And I felt that we definitely went through a phase in the early stages of our relationship where the Lord tested us both, but we both had our eye on the prize, that we wanted to make this relationship work despite what our friends were saying or what our family was saying, which we did get a lot of noise from that. And it was just kind of like, Lord, have your way. And we trusted that this was what he wanted. So we just pushed through, and it wasn't easy.
No, exactly. I mean, anything worth fighting for is never easy, but it's worth it. And I think that forging process that we went through during our dating years really set us up for this early marriage.
Yeah. Can I talk about that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we reached a point in our relationship where we kind of knew it was endgame. Maybe we didn't know we were going to get married as quick as we did, but after being baptized together and just taking all these leaps and going through so much in that first year of dating together, it was kind of like, all right, you're the person I'm going to be with. Like, I knew I was going to marry you. I just didn't know it was so soon.
No, yeah.
And I think same goes for you. Like, we knew that we were the one for each other. It was just a matter of like when we were going to tie the knot.
Yeah.
But I guess there is beauty in the like spontaneous way that we went about it. And it was like a random Tuesday in the summer of 2024, July 29th. And I was doing like freelance videography, and a friend of mine invited me to the courthouse that she was having a little wedding, and she was like, hey, can you film my wedding? It's nothing crazy, nothing small, but we would love some content. And I was like, yeah, I'm bringing my boyfriend with me because we were traveling from LA at the time. And I was like, yeah, we're just gonna do this. But it's funny because on the way, the drive from LA to San Diego to that courthouse, it's like our minds started shifting gears towards this idea of like, now we're talking about marriage. Now we're going to a courthouse. Now,
it's
like
real.
this is happening. Like, is this going to be us? And it was almost like this mutual agreement of like, yep, today is our wedding day. Like, let's do this now. So, do you want to finish the story?
Yeah. So the whole thing is just everywhere, right? So we're coming back from LA. We're changing in the Jack in the Box bathroom to get ready for their wedding. And this whole time we're thinking like, oh, it would be funny if we got married.
Yeah. But as much as we were joking about it, there was some level of seriousness.
No, exactly. No, it was like,
it would be funny to get married, but like, we're going to get married.
Yeah, it was like, it would be funny if we get married today, right now. Like, no.
We're at the courthouse.
We're at the courthouse. No, exactly. That's exactly how it was. So it was like, we were like vicariously living through this couple getting married.
Yeah.
And after that was all said and done, like we were basically like convinced that today is the day we're gonna get married. So we booked the appointment, and we had
also prayed about it.
We
too.
did.
Let's add that we did.
Yeah.
It wasn't just kind of like woo. I mean, there was that, but
this was an ordained relationship from the start.
We got a lot of confirmation through prayer that day as well. Yeah.
Don't this isn't a sign for you to just go get married.
If you're watching
this,
seek the kingdom first.
Seek God's confirmation before bearing the name's confirmation. So we got the confirmation from God, and we're like, all right, bet we are going to do this. And we booked the meeting, or it was like an appointment.
You have to make an appointment. You have to have like a slot at the courthouse to get married.
We booked the appointment, and I was like, all right, we're doing this. Let's go. Then I start calling my friends. Like, see, that's the first problem. Like, don't be like bringing your friends into a personal decision between you and your significant other.
And God. Once God says go, you listen.
Exactly.
Don't bring in the outside noise.
So I get the confirmation, and I still question it. I still need more validation when the validator gave it to me himself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so he's like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, you're 21. Like, don't get married without your parents' permission. That was a whole nother
Because
thing.
mind you, it was also, we weren't telling anyone.
Yeah, we weren't telling anyone. We were just going to do it.
We didn't tell our parents. We didn't do anything. Granted, like, our parents loved each other. Like,
Yeah, like,
my
it
dad
wasn't a
loves him.
problem.
Like, we always had the green light and we always had the blessing, but they just didn't know that day. Like,
Yeah,
we
like,
just did it.
They thought it was going to be like years from now. So he was like, don't get married without telling your parents. Well, this is like sound advice, but it's like when you're telling someone who's already convinced, he's like, it's just like how with the Charlie Brown, like the teacher is like, want. Like, I wasn't hearing it. But then I'm driving home and I'm like thinking on this and I'm like, dang, maybe like we shouldn't get married. Like, maybe this is like, we're like just playing with fire.
We got cold feet.
Cold feet, canceled the meeting or canceled the appointment. And we're just like, all right, today's not the day. Then we go home, take that power nap, wake up. And then first thing I'm thinking about is like, we could have been married by now.
Yeah.
Like, we literally could have been married right now.
I remember waking up and being like, I still feel it in my heart. Like, we should it almost felt like a mission that we didn't complete.
Exactly.
And I woke up and I was like, do you feel how I feel? Like, we didn't get that satisfaction. It was almost like, no, today actually still needs to be our wedding day.
No, exactly. So she's like, but you didn't propose. Like, and I was like, I DoorDash a ring, like literally just like one of those little silicone wedding bands.
Yeah.
And I get on my knee and I'm just like, Donatella, like, I love you. I want to be with you. Like, I can't see myself with anyone else.
And
but
can I
you.
speak on that? There is also there is beauty in how raw that moment was. I didn't need that elaborate proposal. I didn't need, something crazy planned. It was just a moment of like Elijah coming to me and telling me, I want to be with you for the rest of my life. And me already having that confirmation was just kind of like, yes, I want that too. Like, we could do it. I'll take that silicone ring, slip it on my finger, and let's just do this. Like, It doesn't need to be anything crazy. We had genuine love, and it was a raw moment that we were like, let's just do this.
Exactly. I mean, the story doesn't end there.
Yeah.
So we book another appointment, and it's not looking like we're going to make it, but I'm like, let's just go. Like, if it's for us, it's for us. And
Lord, have your way. That was kind of the prayer. Like, if we're meant to get married, God, let it be.
Let it be. And so then we're driving and Donatello's like, you don't have a ring. So I pull over 7-Eleven. We go in, I grab ring pops. Okay, ring pops. And I forgot the flavor. It was like strawberry and
You
blue.
had a blue one, I had a pink one.
Yeah, blue raspberry and strawberry. And I was like, these are going to work. And we're just like, this whole thing, like I'm telling you, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
We go to the courthouse.
40 minutes late.
40 minutes late.
To our appointment.
Yeah, to our appointment. And they still take us. The clerk is like sitting here, like we look like, oh my gosh, it's been a whole fiasco.
Yeah.
And
I'm in like sneakers.
We're
kind of
like,
we got ring pops, and they were what felt again more like confirmation of how everything fell into place. Was the clerk was like, actually, the person who had an appointment now, they just canceled. So that's why we can take you guys. And I remember being like, if that isn't the Lord telling us just go, it was like, all right, let's do this.
No, exactly. So we got married with ring pops. The clerk was like, what in the world? But,
never seen this.
Hey, never seen it, but it was certified, stamped, and approved that day. Got married, and then by thought process, okay, let me give you like an insight. This is for the men, right? So my thought process getting married was, oh, it's just going to be like elongated dating. Like, we're just going to be dating forever. Which is true. Like you are dating forever. Like, it is. To a certain extent. Yeah, to a certain extent. Like, you are going on dates. You are still surprising, still like loving on your girl as if she was your girlfriend. But when I tell you, it is not just that. It is not just that.
Yeah.
It like you like spiritually, mentally, emotionally become one person.
It's
like
a covenant.
This like literally. like this.
Yeah.
And it's like, then you do like the thing with the paper to make it sure it's even. Like, it's like that. That's exactly what marriage is, because you are on one heart, one accord. And things that you feel, she feels. The things that you think she doesn't know, she knows. She could feel it. Like,
especially on a spiritual level, when
Exactly.
Christ is the center, it changes everything. And I mean, we were already in a very serious relationship when we were boyfriend and girlfriend. So it too just felt like, all right, we're just adding another layer. But oh my goodness, it was so much more than that.
No,
It was,
exactly.
now we have a covenant with the Lord. Now we've vowed to each other. Now we almost owe each other this loyalty, respect that we didn't really have before, and the responsibility you take with that is very serious. And we kind of learned that throughout
Yeah.
the first year of our marriage. We went through a lot of trials as well.
Definitely. I think that when the process that we went on is like, we got married, then learned about marriage.
Yeah.
Like, when the normal route would be to learn about marriage, then get married.
But what's crazy is we still felt very prepared for marriage when we did do it. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, we're rushing into this. What are we doing? It was kind of just like, we've surrendered it to the Lord. He made his way. We're getting married. And we weren't scared to kind of jump in that deep end. And
Yeah.
mind you, even as much as we speak about how we prayed and got confirmation that day, leading up to that, I had gotten confirmation that he was the one I was going to be with, you know, the chocolate chip cookie story.
Oh, tell them
And
about that.
quick little story. We got baptized that summer, and I ended up going home for a month, back home to Eswatini. And I'm on fire for Jesus, you know, freshly baptized. Life is honeymoon phase. And I remember just being like, I prayed the prayer, Lord, if he is for me, you know, keep him in my life. And if he is not, send him off. I was almost like, is his purpose in my life, was it just to lead me to you? And now that I'm, you know, a Christian and I'm saved now, is Elijah still going to be in my life? Are we still going to be together? That was kind of, I went through that phase of just make it clear. And I remember I was at the airport and I was sitting next to a cafe that had chocolate chip cookies. And I just remember being like, this is so random, but just kind of writing in my journal like, Lord, if he is for me, I want a clear, undeniable sign. You will show me a chocolate chip cookie with just 2 chocolate chips. Mind you, I'm still in this like phase of like, I'm a baby in my faith. I don't know what it's like to hear God's voice. I'm still, you know, asking him to make donkeys talk, like that kind of like, I just want to know you're real and make this clear.
Yeah.
So I get to my hotel room literally that same day. And as I open the door, there's like a tea and coffee station. And there's like the tea and coffee and there's cookies. Lo and behold, right in front of me is this chocolate chip cookie with 2 chocolate chips in the center. And it's also like, what cookie just has 2 chocolate chips?
It's not a good
like
chocolate
that
chip
doesn't
cookie.
happen. But it was like, you couldn't deny it. And I remember being like, okay, right, we're okay.
Like,
And I remember
yeah.
calling Elijah like, we're gonna be together forever. Like, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that means. And he was like, oh my gosh, I think you also had some confirmation that day through prayer. You were just like, yep, I feel it too. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna do this. So there was that grounding that we had that prepared us mentally of like, God has his hand over us. And then the day that we got married was just him making the way. So I always felt like we had his provision and almost like his approval. So yes, we learned so much about marriage while, you know, on the journey of marriage, but it was like leading up to it, I never felt like, you know, we were led astray. I never felt like we
No,
were
exactly.
like, oh my gosh, now what? You know?
Yeah,
So
we were very sure about the decision we made, and we were like very convicted in
Yeah.
the decision we made. But I do think that we had no idea what we were in for with the decision we made.
not at all. We almost like took it too lightly in the beginning.
No, exactly. Like, we were so sure of it that it was like a light decision for us.
Yeah.
Which was like a rookie mistake, because once we made that decision, God was like, okay, the real work begins, because now I'm going to make you the woman of God that you need to be. And I'm going to make you the man of God that you were made to be. Like, you guys are little babies, But now what you're stepping into is a spiritual covenant. And now, Elijah, you're the head of the household. Donatella, you're the heart of the household. And I'm preparing you for little Jireh that's on the way.
And we didn't even know.
And we didn't even know.
Yeah, so we are just walking through life, but there were so many challenges and tests that were thrown our way, at least within the first couple of months of marriage, that I remember there were so many times that we would sit down and have the conversation like, what are we doing? Like, granted, we also, not to get too personal, but there was so much that leading up to marriage, like we were abstaining, we were just figuring out so much about life. So now that we are married, it was just kind of like this confusion of like our lives just changed now, and God is just using us. So now what? And there were times where it's like, I felt all in, but felt like you were on the fence, or vice versa. And we just needed to really just keep each other grounded and just be like, eye on the prize. Like, we're still going to do this despite every challenge, but despite every attack from the enemy.
No, exactly. And I mean, like you said, like this last year, our relationship has been tested by fire. Like,
if there's anything I can say, I remember a married couple telling us this, and I've kept it in the back of my mind ever since. There is nothing you can't get through as a married couple, especially when you're so rooted in Christ.
Exactly.
Any challenge, any attack from the enemy, anything that gets thrown your way, if you are truly willing to surrender it and let God work and work through it together, there is nothing you can't get through.
1,000%.
And that was definitely something that we learned. I mean, the way I've had to learn about forgiveness and patience and love in a way that I didn't even think I was possible of giving. It was just kind of like God is really molding me into being this submissive wife, this meek woman, this patient girl. I was kind of like all these things, and I was like, wow, I really need to do this to make our marriage work. And that was very difficult.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, like, you obviously know the cliche that the man is supposed to be the protector, the provider, but like that's like the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like, you're the priest of your household. Like, you are the king of your household. Yeah. Like, your mood dictates the energy that's inside of your home.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on the man, just to carry that weight of like, you drive our ship now.
Exactly.
But then also pressure on the woman, not really pressure, but kind of the challenges on the woman. Yeah, the responsibility on the woman is to release control and just let the man lead. And that was something that I've always had a very hard time with, growing up to be super independent. Now all of a sudden I married a man and I just need to let him lead me. It was like, what? And I just need to trust that, God's working through him, and, that's what submission is, of course, with reason.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, like, it's not just like, all right, I'm dilly-dally and you just, no. There's obviously, like, stages that go into it, but still, it was just kind of like letting him be the head of the household was, I think, my biggest challenge. Is like, you would always tell me, we can't have both of us driving the ship. And that was something I was always like, but it was just kind of like, my prayer was just surrendering to the Lord, and like, I trust that you're using him, and I trust that you're giving me the tools to let him lead us. So have your way.
Yeah. And I mean, as a man, as the leader, as the husband, father, like, my family submits to me as I submit to the Lord.
Yeah.
It's not just my way or the highway. Like, no, it's God's way, and that's the way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And having that like biblical foundation too, I think, knowing that like now your responsibility is to love your wife like Christ loved the church. Like, you lay your life down for her. And I think a lot of people in your life who weren't married didn't really understand that. So here you are, this married man who's putting your wife first. You're in a locker room with your friends, or you're hanging out with people that, are not there yet and don't understand that. And you're kind of like, now what?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think
there's that disconnect.
Being married was a choice to be set apart.
Yeah.
I mean, we both were chosen, the chosen ones in our family, those set apart ones in our family. But that marriage aspect really put that like blueprint on us.
Absolutely.
Of, like, oh wow, like you guys really are different. I'm in the locker room and my boys are talking about their girls, talking about what happened last weekend at the clubs or whatever, and I'm just like, that's not me.
Yeah.
I can't participate in that.
Yeah.
Like I can't relate to that.
And another thing was we had kept our marriage a secret.
Yeah, that's a whole nother layer.
We had like told our parents after a while. It was a secret from them in the beginning, but we let them in pretty early.
Yeah.
But in terms of everyone else, like people didn't know we were married. So it's also, you know, us trying to work on strengthening our relationship in private. That's a very different thing as well, because
Very.
it's like, why do you always want, why are you taking this relationship so seriously? It's like, little do you know, I actually vowed to this man.
No,
Like, you
exactly.
have no idea we're actually married.
Yeah.
And it was only on our 1-year anniversary that we kind of publicly announced. We had told a few friends at the time, but it was like we made a video, and on our 1-year anniversary, July, this last summer, we let the world know. And I remember people being like, not only like, what, you're married, but you've been married for a year. It was
No,
like,
exactly.
you're 22 years old. Like, what?
Like
And
right.
little did they know that months later we would have another bomb to drop
No,
on them. Like,
exactly.
we're actually having a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a whole other
That's a
story we
whole
can
nother
talk about.
episode.
But yeah, it was just like around 9 months or so after we got married, we found out we were having a baby. So
Yeah.
now we just announced to the world a year later that we're married, and a couple months later it's like, oh yeah, and there's a kid. So it was just these crazy bombs that we dropped, and just
No.
our lives changed so instantly, and we just shared that a bit late with everyone, which was also the thrill of our relationship, I think.
No, exactly. And I mean, there's going to be so many more stories. So, like, we're just beginning this journey. And I feel like I'm just now being that man that God has been forging me for so many years for you.
And it's beautiful
Um,
to see, because
know what
it's
I'm
like,
saying?
I know what it took to get you here. I know that this wasn't your lifestyle. I know that this isn't
Yeah.
who you thought you would be, or where you know, intended yourself to get. So it's just kind of like seeing that change in you. It's drastic, but it's admirable. And it's,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of respect that you, just as a woman in a general sense, that you just get for your man. When a man loves you biblically, it's amazing.
No,
And
exactly.
watching that process of us get to where we are now has just strengthened us. And you know, we are young, but I love that we are married young, and I love our life, and I love, you know, the little family we've created for ourselves. We've only been married for almost 2 years now, but it's
Yeah.
like life hit us fast, but that's the beauty of our story, and
No,
not everyone
exactly.
has to relate to that.
And I think if we can leave you guys with one thing today, it would be nothing bad. Or let me rephrase this. Everything good comes out of living biblically. Everything good comes out of being a biblical husband, biblical wife. Everything
Absolutely.
good comes out of being a biblical mother and a biblical father.
Absolutely.
Anything
'Cause-
outside of that it's going to be so strenuous to get you back on that path.
Yeah, that's the
of
firm rock
righteousness.
that you stand on.
Exactly.
Yeah, you need that foundation, which is the word, which is, you know, the Lord himself. Without that, I don't even think our marriage would have lasted if we weren't so rooted in our faith.
I like the analogy of the triangle where the parents, the mother, father, husband, wife are at the bottom of the triangle and the God is at the top, and the closer they get to God, the closer they get to each other.
Absolutely.
And I think that's facts. You know what I'm saying?
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it. I'm excited. The next time we talk about relationships and marriage, we'll have a special guest
Yes.
come on the pod. We're going to try to get some more wisdom, mentorship on the podcast for you guys. In the meanwhile, we'll be dropping more videos, day in the lives, vlogs, whatever you guys are interested in. I'm actually really excited for Jaira to grow up and watch his parents
Yeah, this
talk
is going to be
about
amazing.
his marriage, our marriage while he's here.
Our story, yeah.
Um,
And he's been so good.
he's been great.
Yeah.
You got anything to say, Jaira?
Stay tuned for next time.
Stay tuned for next time where we'll be talking about trauma to triumph. See you then.